Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. Great to have you. I'm Carl. Thanks for tuning in. Time for the top three. And today I got two. I got two for you. There's some that were really close, and they could go. I just didn't want to put in my top three. Try to keep those as give them as much as confirmation as I can give them. And let's go take a look at them. Right now, the market, we had the Fed minutes come out and it was pretty choppy, but overall it was just flat and it's pretty flat, down 1.8. Not a whole lot going on that front. So my top three. First one, top two, sorry, Las Vegas Sands. I saw this and I knew it had to go on. It didn't take me very long. So let's look at Las Vegas Sands. First of all, you got a bull vibe signal today. A little bit of a confirmation of a three methods rising pattern, right? And for a three methods rising, what do you want? You want to break the opening candle of the pattern, which was this one. You want it to break that high. And again, I try to put as much into them other than just a vibe bull signal. I try to put more factors into these, try to make them a little bit, uh, increase the odds of it moving our direction. So came down to the 7 today, pushed up off of it, pushes up off the $80 level. You don't always need it, but you got strong volumes in there as well. Back in the move. Um, Great looking setup. Not only that, I've got a trend rider. We have a trend rider bull signal on volumes. This is a good looking setup. I looked at this go up into the 83 range. It could go higher. I try to set fairly conservative targets. Last time this thing broke out, it ran $4, three, pretty conservative. I think it could go. This has been a hot group. A lot of 2013. You can see really the breakout happened in September where these things started to take off. News out of Macau and the gaming companies that were over there. It's just growing exponentially. And so this is a pretty big market right now. They have earnings on the 27th. Just remember, I mean, it's a ways off, but they have earnings on the 27th. Okay, so Las Vegas Sands, both Vibe Bull and Trend Rider Bull signals on volumes. It's a very bullish setup, what we got there. Second one, and I looked at this a little bit earlier on. We looked at this one. This is Autodesk. I put this in the chat. It's still holding it. A nice signal here. This signal, not a bull vibe. I'm sorry, it is a bull vibe, not a trend rider bull signal. Now this is occurring on a little bit lighter volumes, but like I always say, you don't for this type of a signal. This is a trend continuation type of a signal right here. When you got an uptrend established, now that went a little bit too far for me here. It got away too far, and there's quite a few of these out there today. SanDisk comes to mind, and BIIB comes to mind, where you see this type of a signal, right? Where you got an uptrending stock, and bam, it shot out way too high. So going over to SanDisk or BIIB, this is what you want to look. This is what you want to see for another entry. Kind of getting off topic here, but is let this go sideways a little bit, some bullish consolidation, then look for a day like that, where it's kissing up off the 7 and pushing higher. That's going to give you a safer entry into those trades rather than trying to just jump on today hoping they go. So back here to Autodesk, that's what we're looking at. Today we had you can look at this yesterday and say, well, hey, look, yesterday it had a vibe bull signal, which it did. You had everything rising yesterday. You had it popping over the 7 yesterday. Today, a little bit more confirmation, pushing up over 50. It ran lower below the 7, turns around to push up and over 50. Still a strong bullish pattern here that this is likely to run higher. Price target here, 52 range. I'd give this one a couple dollars. It could easily move to 53. 52, 53 is where I'd look at this one to go. Okay. Setups like this right now, very aggressive traders would go January. Okay, they're going to expire in like 7 days. That'd be pretty darn aggressive. If it moved for you pretty quickly, then get out pretty quickly. If you went January, it's more conservative. and still would give you a decent reward, would be going to February's. If you go to February's, one or two strikes in the money is what it'd be looking. January's definitely two strikes in the money or further at this point where it's so close. I wouldn't recommend going January's. If you wanted to do, January's and just invest a lot less in the trade and take a profit a little bit faster than you normally would, and you'd get a decent profit if this thing runs on us right here. Okay, so that's the top two today. I got two for you. Now there's some that were really close, and I just didn't want to put them on my top three. This one's so close. It's right there. This is WellPoint Health Networks. Indicators are rising. Recent rise here in the MACD as well as the rate of change up there. It's moved up since when I saw this. I'd like it to close right up here, but again, this little bit of anticipation of this moving above 92, and really, it's likely to do it. How far could this go? 94. You could get a couple dollars out of that. I couldn't argue an entrance here. If anybody wanted to look calls, I just like to try to get as much confirmation as I can. It just below 92 like that doesn't mean it's not going to run. It's still a bullish pattern. It's still a nice. Let's look back here and when we've seen it. So we got an uptrend intact, definitely. And so the signals, well, that one's not fair because it went too far too fast. It wouldn't have exited on that day. Over here, this would be very similar to what we would have seen today, where it's at, not really. Sorry, a little bit of resistance up at that point, and then it runs higher the next day. There's a re-entry right there onto these, a couple of them. And then back over here where it did a very similar thing, down and then jumps up over the 7. This gives pretty good clean entries. Now this one didn't pull back as much as these pullbacks in this range before you get another signal. That adds a little bit more bullishness to the trade as well. So I do like that setup on WellPoint. Another one is Amazon. And same thing. It's a nice bullish setup. It's likely to run higher here. A little bit of a consolidation. You can see the higher lows have been locked in here, pushing up over the 7, pushing up over 400. For a little bit more bullish confirmation, that level would do it. But still, this is a bull vibe signal. You look at the bull vibe signals that we've seen here. Have they paid off in the past? Yes. And here's one that went up off above the 7. Now, if your stop was on the 7, which shouldn't have been, because it's too close at this, I'm looking down. Is that off your screen? I think you can see it. I'm right down here. I'm just looking at this here. I'm just trying to explain a little bit here. So that you look at that, there's a bull vibe signal, right? Everything's rising. It shoots above right there. Stop on the 7 at this point would be too close. It's just right there. So the stop would have been down here. Even if it was on the 7, it never did go close below it, did it? Now, there's probably earnings in there somewhere, so those gaps would be a little bit unfair. Probably wouldn't want to hold it through an earnings. But that's another one. And check to see when WellPoint and Amazon announce. Okay, my runner is up. When I was in quite a hurry today to get these out. I didn't check that, but check when WellPoint and Amazon announce just to make sure if you're looking at those. Let me show you a bearish setup. One bearish setup that I saw, and I didn't put it on just because there was some things here I didn't like. So this is a vibe bear signal. You don't hear me talk a lot about vibe bears because, well, the market's in a bull market. I'll throw out a vibe bear occasionally. This one right here, I didn't throw it out there because 55. You look at that 55 level. Well, look at the volume around the 55 level. There's some big volume there, suggesting that this level is likely to be a decent support level. And what are we? We just maybe 50, 60 cents above 55. I don't see a lot of downside. You also that MACD, you can see that MACD right there rising. So that right there, and the strong volume around the 55 level, I didn't think there's a lot more downside there. So it is a vibe bear signal, but you got to look a little bit deeper than just looking, hey, the indicators are down and this is pushing down below the 7. And I saw that support right there. So that didn't go on. One last one for the runners is Walgreens. And Walgreens, and I saw it earlier today, is a nice looking setup. Now this is one that's about almost $2 above the 7. It's rocketed today up off above the 50, over 59. This might keep going. It's got some strong volumes on it down down here. Yeah, you're getting a bullish MACD crossover today. It's not something we pay too much attention to, but it's getting that 60. With the volumes here, it could suggest a move up towards 60, up through 60, but it might take a little bit to it, and that's another reason. It's about $2 away from the 7. That's one reason. It's a little bit overextended at this point. And 60 is not a lot of volume around 60, but it's one of those big round numbers. I wasn't sure if that would get through that as well. So there's our runners up. There's the top two today. The top two was Las Vegas Sands, LVS, and then ADS. Now another thing on Las Vegas Sands. So we'll look at the chart on Las Vegas Sands and notice, hey, how close it is to 7, a nice breakout mode. Well, look at the other stocks that we'll look at in there. It shot way higher than the 7 yesterday and it's still trading way above it. MGM, which was upgraded recently, well, the whole group was a day or two ago. So they're quite a ways up off the 7 where you got a stronger move here. Just playing right up. Very nice technical action going on here. A lot smoother type of an entry here. Okay, so there's the top 3 and the runners up. I'm going to end the recording here and I'll get right back on and we'll wrap the day up. Okay, thanks everybody.